Welcome to Hero Villains. Who do you think will win? Spider-Man versus Luke Cage. Agile Spider versus unbreakable strength. Spider-Man is the icon of agility and intellect in the Marvel Universe. Behind the mask is Peter Parker, a young man who possesses superhuman strength after being bitten by a radioactive spider. He has the ability to stick to any surface, lightning-fast reflexes thanks to his spider sense, and physical strength far beyond ordinary people. Not only relying on physical force, Spider-Man also fights with flexible tactics, utilizing the surrounding environment to neutralize stronger opponents. Luke Cage, also known as Power Man, is the embodiment of pure strength and nearly absolute defense. After a failed experiment, his body became indestructible, with skin that cannot be pierced and strength enough to crush steel. Luke Cage does not need to dodge. He stands firm against every attack and counters with punches of devastating power. Before we dive into the analysis, please hit the subscribe button and remember to turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thank you all very much! Peter Parker was once just a skinny high school student, but possessed superior intelligence. He chose to bury himself in science as a safe haven, away from the mockery and looks of contempt from his peers. However, that passion unintentionally opened a door before him that no one could have predicted. During a public science exhibition tour, a place showcasing bold advances in radiation and genetics, fate stepped in. A spider, after being affected by a particle beam, bit Peter on the hand. Dizziness hit almost immediately, but he had no idea that just a few hours later, his life would take a completely different direction. As an orphan, Peter always cherished his peaceful life with Aunt May and Uncle Ben. Therefore, when he realized the strange changes in his body, he did not think about showing off his power, but chose to hide it. The fear of them facing public scrutiny made him decide to take on a new identity. The suit was meticulously designed, and the name Spider-Man was born as a perfect veil between two worlds. With the mind of a genius, Peter created wrist-mounted web shooters, creatively recreating the abilities of a spider. Spectacular performances quickly made him a media focus. The spotlight, applause, and cheers began to fill the void left by childhood traumas. But deep inside, amid the brilliant glory and endless applause, was a boy gradually losing his way. Fame brought a sense of recognition, but also silently eroded his inherent sincerity. The power of Spider-Man is shown through nearly perfect flexibility in every movement. He can lift objects weighing tens of tons, soar past buildings at incredible speeds, and land accurately to the smallest detail. Every jump, every mid-air turn carries a sense of lightness, but full of power. Spider-Man's body also has the ability to recover quickly from injuries, helping him return to the fight soon while others are still down. Even so, he still carries human limits and can still be affected by illness. There is also the thing called spider sense, a near instinctive ability that helps him sense danger before it actually happens. Not only warning of a threat, this sense also reveals the direction of an attacker's approach, allowing him to react faster than thought. When combined with a flexible and unpredictable fighting style, Spider-Man creates a visionary confrontation style where the surrounding space seems to slow down, and he moves like lightning in a chaotic storm, dodging every blow by a hair. It is not just power, but a symphony of instinct, speed, and will, breathtaking and captivating to every heartbeat. In the world of Spider-Man, enemies are not only numerous, but also carry terrifying brutality and ambition, creating one of the harshest arrays of opponents any superhero has ever faced. Prominent among them is Norman Osborn, the man behind the Green Goblin identity. He has become an unending nightmare. With intelligence, wealth, and deadly devices, Osborn not only attacks physically, but also aims directly at Peter's private life. Despite falling many times, he still returns like a persistent ghost, always finding ways to destroy everything Spider-Man treasures. dangers. Another threat involving intellect and distortion is Otto Octavius, who turned into Dr. Octopus after a horrific accident. Mechanical arms attached to his body not only bring terrible strength, but also amplify his deviant personality. Octavius constantly challenges Spider-Man, even going as far as taking over Peter's body to impose a cold and distorted version of Peter's own self. And when Dmitri Kravinov, or Chameleon, spreads fear with perfect disguise, he makes Spider-Man unable to trust anyone around him, turning the world into a maze of lies. Meanwhile, Sergei Kravinov, Kraven the Hunter, takes the pursuit to an obsessive level. To him, Spider-Man is not a human, but the ultimate prey in a ruthless survival game. Not every danger Spider-Man faces originates from Earth. One of the most terrifying threats emerged from outer space when a mysterious symbiotic creature sought him out. Initially, it took the form of a perfect suit that Peter accidentally discovered during a distant adventure. But hidden behind that seemingly harmless shell was an intense will to live, always craving to take over the host body to survive. That creature sought to merge with Spider-Man, silently creeping into his mind, amplifying negative emotions and fueling violent instincts. When Peter realized the danger and determined to separate himself, it did not disappear, but moved on to other hosts to continue existing. Eddie Brock became Venom, an entity carrying deep hatred, while Cletus Cassidy transformed into Carnage, the embodiment of chaos and bloodlust. From there, the threat spread into many terrifying forms, each appearance bringing new nightmares. Beside alien threats, Spider-Man also had to constantly confront a series of other dangerous enemies. Adrian Toomes, under the name Vulture, dove from the sky like a wind of death. Max Dillon, or Electro, turned energy into a weapon of destruction. William Baker, known as Sandman, could change his body into billowing sand. Alexei Sitsevich brought devastating power under the Rhino armor, while Matt Gargan became Scorpion with aggressive instincts. Wilson Fisk manipulated the underworld with absolute power, and Herman Schultz caused chaos with violent concussions. Dr. Kurt Connors was a living tragedy when he turned into Lizard, losing his own humanity. Despite defeating them many times, Spider-Man never truly rested. Those enemies always returned, as persistent as underwater currents that never calm. In the turbulent life of Spider-Man, one of the people closest to him is Johnny Storm, or Human Torch, a member of the Fantastic Four. They frequently teased, competed, and even argued non-stop, but behind those fiery exchanges was a rare understanding. Through countless times standing side by side in dangerous adventures, the friendship between them became firm, like two different flames always burning in the same direction. Spider-Man still proved his worth many times when cooperating with the Avengers. Moments of fighting alongside major icons helped him gradually gain recognition, not just as a jokester, but also as a reliable warrior. The relationship between Peter Parker and J. Jonah Jameson carried more complex colors. As the editor of the Daily Bugle, Jameson always saw Spider-Man as a danger that needed to be eliminated. Yet ironically, Peter himself was the one who provided the most valuable photos of Spider-Man for the newspaper. The photography job not only helped him make a living, but also unintentionally fueled the campaign criticizing himself. Between the sensational headlines and harsh attacks, there still existed a silent respect that Jameson had for Parker. Although his unpleasant personality often made the atmosphere in the newsroom tense, deep down was a person always torn between prejudice and truth. And in that whirlpool, Peter still quietly stepped forward, both protecting the city and enduring misunderstandings, like a hero who does not need to be praised, but still constantly contributes. I really hope you subscribe to the channel. That will help us a lot, and you are the best person. Thank you very much. Now let us talk about Luke Cage. Carl Lucas, the man later known as Luke Cage, was born and raised among the harsh streets of Harlem. He was once part of the gang world, where violence and ambition seeped into every small corner of life. When he was young, Carl nurtured a dream of becoming a crime boss, believing it was the only way to assert himself in a competitive and dangerous environment. Despite falling into wrong activities, he still kept a rare part of his humanity. Beside the grandmother he loved dearly, Carl always behaved with moderation and politeness. Instead of using foul language, he chose gentle phrases like "Sweet Christmas," a way of expressing emotions that was both strange and sincere. When he realized the path he was taking was pulling his family into the abyss, Carl decided to change. He left the underworld, seeking a more honest life, though he still kept in touch with his old friend Willis Stryker. Everything seemed to be stabilizing until tragedy struck. After a failed assassination attempt aimed at Stryker, Reva Connors left him and went to Carl, the man who brought a greater sense of security. Jealousy and hatred led Stryker to betray his friend, secretly planting drugs in Carl's apartment, pushing him into legal trouble. Sentenced to 20 years at Seagate Prison, a place so harsh it was compared to a miniature version of hell, Carl was forced to adapt to survive. Initially, he blended into the cruel rules of the place, but over time, another thought began to spark. He sought out law books, persistently learning with the hope that one day he could clear his own name. Between the cold walls and nights that seemed endless, Carl not only fought to survive, but also to keep the last bit of light in his soul. That very place that seemed to bury everything became the starting point for change, where a man who had gone astray began his journey to become a symbol of will and redemption. Carl Lucas not only had to face violence, but was also constantly threatened by cruel people like prison guard Albert Billy Bob Rackham. In a place where there seemed to be only despair, he found a glimmer of hope when he met Dr. Noah Burstein, a scientist with a different goal. Unlike those who wanted to create living weapons, Burstein desired to recreate the super soldier serum to serve for healing and saving people. Carl agreed to participate in the experiment not out of ambition, but out of a desire to change his fate. When the process began, his body was enveloped in an electromagnetic field combined with a special compound. But at the decisive moment, Rackham secretly sabotaged the system, plotting to turn the experiment into a death sentence. However, instead of destroying Carl, that interference triggered an unexpected reaction. Energy exploded, restructuring his body and turning him into a completely different person. New strength rose like a fierce wave. Carl possessed a physical condition far beyond human limits, able to lift giant heavy objects and break solid steel with just his fists. His skin became nearly invulnerable to ammunition, fire, and electric shocks. Even when injured, his body recovered at an amazing speed, as if refusing to fall before any adversity. Carl broke his chains of imprisonment and escaped, returning to New York with a new life. A small action at a diner, when he stopped a robbery and was paid, changed everything. That moment did not just mean money, but also opened a new path where he could use his strength to protect instead of destroy. Giving up his old past, Carl Lucas took on the identity of Luke Cage, a name associated with rebirth and a resilient will. With combat experience accumulated from harsh years and unshakable strength, he stepped into the world as a true warrior, carrying the determination to redeem the mistakes of a person who had overcome the darkness to find the light. Luke Cage's journey to becoming a hero was truly tested when he faced a fateful encounter with Willis Stryker, the old friend who had betrayed him years ago. Now, Stryker had turned into Diamondback, a high-ranking figure in the criminal world with limitless ambition and cruelty. To force Luke to appear, he kidnapped Claire and prepared special blades capable of piercing the seemingly invulnerable skin of his opponent. The battle between the two was not just a confrontation of strength, but also a collision of the past and hatred. Luke sought truth and justice, while Diamondback stubbornly denied the crimes that had pushed his friend into prison. The fight ended in chaos when the very weapons Stryker created turned back to destroy him. From above, he fell in pain, closing a tearful grudge where no apology was spoken. Luke continued to face a series of other dangerous enemies. Gideon Mace, a veteran carrying a deep grudge against the government, planned an attack on Wall Street to spread chaos. But when Luke intervened, his escape plan was shattered, and the last helicopter sank into the cold Hudson River. And when Armand Loring and his accomplice Jacques took advantage of a circus cover to perform daring robberies, spreading fear in the 42nd Street area. When Luke was hired to end this crime spree, he not only had to confront them, but was also drawn into media attention. Black Mariah brought another challenge, not just in strength, but also internally. With a gang disguised as ambulances to rob the property of the deceased, she created a cold and sophisticated criminal network. Luke easily defeated her henchmen, but when facing her directly, he could not help but hesitate at the thought of acting against a woman. However, when the crime exceeded limits, he was forced to act. Finally, Luke crushed Mariah's plan, taking down the ring and crushing her escape vehicle. The reputation of Luke Cage was not only associated with the streets of New York, but also echoed to even the most powerful forces. Even Dr. Doom, the ruler of Latveria, once became his opponent. When he hired Cage for a mission and then vanished without paying the small fee, Doom unintentionally touched Cage's pride. Luke did not let it go. He went straight to Doom's castle, broke through every defense, and confronted the villain directly. During the battle, he delivered a powerful punch. Luke did not stop at personal confrontations. He once stood alongside many large teams, from the Avengers to the Defenders, then collaborated with Misty Knight in Nightwing restorations, and at one point even took on the role of the Thing. Luke Cage's strength does not just stop at being impressive, but reaches a level that even the strongest must recognize. At his peak, he can lift weights exceeding 100 tons, matching names like the Thing or Namor. Many times, he has made giant opponents like the Hulk stagger, as an affirmation that his will and strength are not inferior to anyone. Luke Cage carries the aura of a person who once tripped, but refused to stay down. Each of his battles is not just a show of power, but a testament to pride, to the determination to stand tall in a chaotic world where a person's value is measured by what they dare to face and protect. Luke Cage once did what seemed impossible. He stopped an airplane taking off, completely neutralizing its momentum. Even more amazing, that feat took place while he was injured by a special weapon. His body weakened, but his will as resilient as steel. In the battle with Proxima Midnight, each of Luke's punches struck the ground like rolling thunder, causing widespread shocks. Luke's strength does not just lie in hitting power. He once made Namor, the legendary warrior who can go toe-to-toe with the Hulk, bleed right under the water. His body is almost immune to attacks on the nervous system. A disruptive beam only made him slightly dizzy, and even more enraged. Luke's durability is also at an extraordinary level. He withstood hits from Wonder Man, survived attacks from mindless Hulk, and could duel with the Thing, individuals who all far exceed Spider-Man in physical strength. Meanwhile, Spider-Man facing the Hulk shows clear limits. A punch from the Hulk just brushing by was enough for Peter to admit it was the strongest force he had ever felt. Throughout the match, Spider-Man attacked continuously, but caused almost no harm, even hurting his hands because of the Hulk's own durability. Against Dr. Doom, Spider-Man was no better. In Amazing Spider-Man 350, when Doom had no intention of fighting and was only blocked, a single hit left Peter stunned and sent him flying. On the contrary, when Luke Cage confronted Doom, he endured a series of attacks, avoided explosions, and countered hard enough to cause serious damage to his armor. That stubbornness and strength create a clear difference. Finally, when compared to Rhino, the gap is even more obvious. Luke Cage took down Rhino Rhino with just one punch and slammed him to the floor. Spider-Man could not even lift this opponent. In his best state, Luke is superior in both strength and durability. Spider-Man can shoot webs at Luke, but there is almost no way to take him down with regular strikes. Luke wins. I hope you enjoyed this battle. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section. Follow me if you like. That is today's video. Thank you very much.